But thanks everyone for coming. It's going to be quite informal, but I just wanted to take you through Canva, which some of you have tried before, some of you have heard me talk about, and some of you might be totally new to. It is a free graphic design tool online. Actually, Layla from Chiltern Rangers introduced me to it when I first started in post. I found it very useful because it has a lot of pre-made templates, which you can kind of tweak if you want to, or you can keep them mostly as they are. So it just depends how creative you want to get, really. But I found it useful because you can put in a brand pack, so you can put your brand colors in there, you can upload images, and then they stay there in a library for you to use anytime you want to create a poster or a leaflet. It's all in one place, which is really useful. So what I want to take us through today, thank you for those of you who did submit specific questions, and I'll try to get to them. And if not, I'll leave a bit of time for question and answers at the end. I just want to take us through the basics of navigation. So where stuff is, where do you find what you're looking for, how to use it. Take us through a couple of examples that I've kind of half done, just to show you how you can change a template to make it your own. There was a specific question about how to do a timeline, so I'm just going to take us through that if you wanted to create something that's a bit, like an infographic, and then show you how you could build your own brand pack. So if you have, brand colors from where you work, obviously the one for our project is already there, but other organizations might want to make their own or create like additional brand packs, which is quite useful. So I'm just going to share my screen, but also if you have, do just unmute yourself and interrupt me. You don't need to raise your hand or anything. I'm very relaxed about all that, so you can interrupt me anytime. Can everybody see my screen? Yes, thumbs up. Okay, so what we're looking at, this is kind of the home page of Canva. If we go to home, and it says design anything, which is mostly true. You can design most things from, social media posts to posters to email banners, all kinds of amazing things that we need and some things that we don't really need. But what I wanted to start with is on the left-hand side, you'll see you've got a menu where it says all your designs. That's where you'd go to find things you've designed before, shared with you. So you can use Canva to share stuff with teammates. I haven't used that function yet, but it would be useful if more than one person had a Canva account and you wanted to share documents. Your brand kit, so that's where I've put in our brand colors, our brand fonts. You can also put those on there as well, and I'll come to that a bit later. And the last ones I haven't used at all. So there is a content planner if you wanted to use this not only as a graphic design tool, but also as a content planner tool. So if you wanted to make a poster and then also put it in your planner for when you're going to publish that as a reminder. So that could be useful if you wanted to use it as kind of a, social media planner as well. And create a team. Again, you can invite people to collaborate with you on your Canva account to create things if you have kind of a broader team inputting into stuff and you don't want to send them loads of documents. But quickly, I just wanted to show you, this is all of my design. So as you can see, I've used Canva quite a bit since I started, but I wanted to take you back to the beginning just to show you how simple I started. So I have been using it for a year, but what I created at the beginning was not edgy. It wasn't really that inspiring. I did some simple stuff. I played around with a poster. I did an email banner because we needed one for the newsletter. And gradually, I kind of started playing around with the brand colors, doing some posters. And then, just kind of finding a bit more of a style later on. But I found it really useful. I've used it for video projects. I've done posters on it, done leaflets. So that's been, it's something that I use every week, I would say, to create stuff. And certainly for the festival, for those of you who were involved in our recent festival, I used it to create social media ads as well. So, kind of mini posters like this, little posters for the website, all of the Eventbrite headers I made on Canva as well. Partially because once you've got a template that you like, say, for example, this one with Ed for LiDAR, if I want to use this exact setup again, but change the photos, I can just make a copy. So it's really easy to kind of use something I've already worked on and then rename it, drag and drop a few different images in, and I've saved myself a bit of work, which is great. All making sense so far about where things are? Yep. So before I take us into a couple of examples that I've mocked up, what you've got here, and you can also find it from home, is you've got lots of different templates. So it will take you through like social media. So do I want to create an Instagram post, Instagram story? You have got animated social media. So for those of you who don't know, if you wanted to create images that move a little bit, you can do that with a pro account, which we have. So the CCC partnership has access to a pro account. It's basically just got slightly fancier functions. You know, you get more images for free. For example, you get some nice icons. And if you do want to create GIFs or kind of moving social media posts, that's included as well. If you were doing an event and you thought, okay, what do I need for an event? You might want to create an invitation. If it's quite fancy, you might want to do a poster, you might want to do a brochure. There's also marketing. So again, a lot of this is social media, documents. I did use this before to create a letterhead when we were sending some kind of, professional letters. You could do reports on here. So I know Jo, our festival coordinator, she used Canva to put together a recent festival report for me, just because it was an easy way to make it look quite pretty, basically, and readable. You could do a resume on here if you needed to. And there's a few other sections. So, there's school and stuff. If you wanted to do a presentation, infographics, I've used the infographic one before, even worksheets. So if you're doing a children's worksheet, which I know some of you do, you can use that as well. Also, what you can do, which is usually how I found stuff, is I've searched for something like a Facebook feed static ad. So when I was running ads, I needed a Facebook ad that basically stays on the homepage. And then you've got all of these templates, which you can then drag and drop your content into. So you've got lots of different choice. Obviously, these are all generic for products which may or may not exist, but you might think, okay, I like this one because it's got an image in it and a bit of text, and that's really all I need for my Facebook ad. So you could click on it and you can customize it with your colors and drag and drop an image into it. But yeah, it's quite easy to use. The best thing to do is just have a little search of what you think you need, and it will suggest things. It's also good because it does have templates for different kind of file size requirements. So, for some magazine advertising, they'll ask you for a certain size and you can search that size up. You might want a poster, but you want it in landscape rather than portrait, and it does have those templates there. So it has quite a large range. There's also the Learn section, which if you're just starting and you feel like you want to learn a bit more, you can use that. I personally haven't explored that area. I've just tried to spend a bit of time playing around with things that I wanted to create. And I found that's quite useful just to learn what works and what doesn't work.
Lizzie,
Yes.
can I just ask, things like the Facebook ads,
Mm-hmm.
how easy is it to sort of upload? Do you have to save it as a file, or can you sort of do it from Canva?
Yeah, I can show you an example. So, these are kind of the size of a Facebook ad. And when you want to add it to Facebook, when you're finished editing, so this is the page you go into when you're working on something specific. And then I would download it. So I could share it, obviously, I could send it by email, but you press download and then it gives you kind of file size options. It gives you file type. So obviously for Facebook, you want a PNG or a JPEG, but maybe you actually want to print it. So you would choose a PDF. Obviously, if it's something that's moving, you'd save it as a video. But yeah, you can also choose to have a transparent background, which is quite useful. So you say you've created something that there's a lot of white and you don't want that white to be there because you're putting it on your website. You can choose that and you can compress the file. So yeah, it's quite easy to download. It usually goes into my downloads folder and then I just make sure I drag it to my desktop so I don't lose it.
Can I just ask something else quickly as well? So if you wanted to put sort of like an image into like an email, I often struggle with, could you do something on here and then save it in a similar way?
Do you mean like an email banner?
Yeah,
you can. So I know that Vicky, where I work, she usually does the email banners and she uses a different program than this, but you can, you could just search. So yeah,
Just
you can
if
search like
to try and make an email, you know, say to teachers, look a bit more interesting. It's quite hard to insert pictures without them being too large, I've found.
yeah,
And positioning them is quite difficult sometimes. So
yeah. Yeah, I mean, I haven't done that personally. Oh, somebody's in the waiting room, just one second. So I haven't tried to put together, I think what you're talking about is like almost like a document or a poster that fits within the email. You could do that. I mean, you could do something like a poster that contains basically all of the information for the teachers and insert that file into the body of the email. So I've done things like that before, where I've kind of created a mini poster that says, you know, are you interested in this? This is where you get more information, and kind of use that, like save it as an image file, but it actually has text on it. So templates on Canva, you can save them as image files or PDFs. So even things like a leaflet or a poster, you don't have to save them as a PDF. You can save them as an image file and then upload them to the website, upload them to, you know, to Instagram or to an email.
So like just a JPEG would be okay for email, and you just do it perhaps at a lower
you can
quality.
compress them. So you can compress them here. Obviously, if you don't, you know, remember, I mean, the good thing about Canva is that all of your designs are then saved. So once you've done it, if you realize it's too big or you actually want it in PDF, it's really easy from here. I can download it from here even without going into the file. So I can choose the type and, you know, whether I want to compress it, for example.
Great. Yeah. Thank you.
Cool. Yeah, that's all right. So welcome to those who joined a little bit later. I'm going to keep going just in the interest of time. But I've mocked up a couple of examples just to show you how it works when you're actually working on a document. So this one I put together as like a poster. So it's horizontal. You know, you can obviously choose what works for you, whether you want a horizontal or portrait poster. I've thrown a few logos on there. But for those of you who know the CCC, you'll know that this isn't in our brand colors. And maybe it's not the image that we'd want to use either. I mean, it is a great image, but it's not an image that we own technically. So if I wanted to change some of these things, it's really easy. I can click on the background. It shows me what the color is. And here's when it will show me quite a few different color options, which is very useful. So I've got my core brand colors here, which some of you will be familiar with. Additional brand colors. These are illustration brand colors. So these are colors that I've taken from the illustrations we've had done by Livy. There's really only one or two extra ones in there, but it just gives us a bit more choice. What I would say though, is usually I scroll down to the photo colors and I pick a color from here. So although we've got brand colors and it's great to use them, actually sometimes things look a bit better if I don't just go with purple, blue, and green and gray. You know, it's not a huge range to choose from. So, you know, often I'll kind of play around with some of these. You know, do I like the look of those? You know, maybe the green, but it's quite good just to scroll down and see what ones you've got to choose from. I think I'm gonna put it in purple for now, just for the sake of it, or yellow. We'll put it in yellow. If I want to change the text, again, you know, I can obviously select it. They've got loads of fonts on here. If you do have a brand font, again, you can upload it, you know, which I can show you if we've got time at the end. So it shows here uploaded fonts. I've uploaded Calibri because it's our brand font technically. I don't always use it because again, it doesn't always look the best. It's not always the most interesting font, but for the sake of giving a good example, I will use it. I can change these text sizes. One thing to say, when you're using a template, often what they've done is they've put the text there in a certain size in a certain box. So you can see this box here is divided into two sections, which is clearly the heading, and there's a subtitle. And they've only put a certain amount of space for the heading and the subtitle. I can't change that. So I can't make this bottom box for the subtitle as big as the heading, for example. So often what I need to do is on the left-hand side here, you've got things you can add to the document, and I go to text, and then I might choose to add my own text box that's easier to edit. Alternatively, if you don't want to do that, you can see they've got quite a few text options to inspire you. So if you do want to use funky text, you can see, you know, they've got stuff that shines, they've got text that moves. these are quite fun for posters or for social media posts. I wouldn't use them for everything, but you can see there's quite a lot to choose from. But often I do just go for the normal, add a heading or just, quite easy to read fonts. So that's just something to be aware of, that you might find you've got like a text box on your template and you're trying to edit it and you're thinking, well, why can't I make this bottom bit bigger without making the whole thing bigger? And you can see as I'm moving it, it's making everything bigger, which is not really what I want. I can move this sideways, but again, that doesn't give me too much help. So sometimes you might just need to delete the whole thing and add your own heading box separately and a subtitle or subheading box. And again, once you've added these in, so if I add a subheading and I want to change that so I can read it, and it's a little bit bigger, then obviously I can, do what I would usually do with alt text. So it's gone automatically in as Calibri because I've set it to go in as brand fonts, but I can change it. I could change it to any text that I fancy, change the color of the text as well. If I wanted it to be a funky color. So it is quite customizable, but yeah, not all of the templates will work for exactly what you want. So it's just worth playing around with the text sometimes. If I wanted to change the image, which is here, obviously this is a certain size, this box. If I go to uploads, this is where I'll find the images and videos and even audio files that I've uploaded to Canva. So you can see I've been playing around with some logos. I've used some screenshots from one of the videos that Helena's volunteers made, which was great. But this poster is about, getting more young people involved. So I might want to, switch it for another photo. I also might want to just, keep it very generic, something, inspiring. But basically what you do is you just drag and drop. So this box was already here for an image. I can drag any image into there. But what you'll notice is the image will try to go into the background if I don't hold it over the box. So, sometimes that will happen. There's a very easy go back step there. So don't be afraid if you are dragging something in and suddenly you've ended up with a background as an image instead. It's worth saying as well, Canva does save automatically, so you don't need to be pressing save while you're working on something. It does save it automatically, so you don't need to be stressed about losing your changes. But yeah, images, you'll find them all here. I haven't uploaded videos yet, and I haven't needed to use one because I haven't created very many kind of moving social media posts, but I could if I wanted to. And obviously I could add an audio file here as well. There will be situations, and I've come across them before, where I haven't really got an image for what I need. So Canva does have a really great photo library. You can see here, it will tell me ones that I've recently used. So it might be that I am creating another volunteering poster and I think, okay, I like this photo because it's really generic, and I'm going to drag that in, or, because I'm talking about young people, let's get this photo of a kid planting up, something. And they are generic, so take it with a pinch of salt. You don't always want to use stock photos, but they are useful if you just haven't got a photo, and you can search it really easily. So I could search Christmas there. And, if I was doing a Christmas poster, I've suddenly got all of these photos to choose from. And in a way, it just saves you a step. Some of you might be used to using things like Pixabay or, stock image websites, which you can still use, obviously, but Canva has quite a good selection. You will notice. Yeah.
Are they all, there's no copyright issues with any of those images at all?
No.
That's cool. Thank
No,
you.
so yeah, so they're all part of Canva's photo library. What I was about to say though is you'll see, and on the next section I'm going to take you through as well, you'll see some of the images and elements have something with the little pro symbol here. So because I have a pro account, I can use these, but it's worth noting, if you are just going to try the free account for a while, just, if you have a free account and you drag something like a pro image in, it won't do it because I have a pro account, but you'll have kind of those watermarks across the image or across the element. So it's just something to be aware of. If you've got a free account, just make sure you choose an image that is a free one rather than one you need the pro account for. Again, what's quite useful, elements is actually one of my favorite things about Canva, because they're all of these little funky icons and boxes that you can drag text into. They've got loads of arrows, they've got shapes. You can see they've also got frames that you can drag images into. And these are some of the moving stickers that I talked about. So if you were trying to do, a funky social media post, they've got all of these little moving images. And you can see here, it tells me that this one is free. So that's telling you the difference between the ones that are free or the ones that are on the pro account. So those are quite fun to drag in sometimes. Don't want stickers anymore. But yeah, with something, for example, like the farmer cluster infographic that I did, I used loads of these elements because we didn't have many photos at the time. So I wanted to use little icons. So I searched something like tractor, for example, and found a tractor that I liked, dragged it onto the image. And the good thing about these icons is you can make it look as if they're branded icons, because you can often change the color of the icons, but also they come in kind of set styles. So I'm searching tractor right now, and you can see there's ones that are black and white, there's ones that look like a sketch, there's ones that look kind of cartoony. If I was to search a farmer, there's also going to be a farmer in each of these styles. So I can kind of choose the icons that go together, and it will look like branded icons for any of you who have worked with, branded icons and stuff before, which we do quite a bit at the board. So that is one example of something that you can do. There's also another one which I had saved. Got lots of tabs open here. Yeah, so what I also wanted to show you is doing a timeline, because someone asked specifically about that. So again, I wasn't even sure that Canva could do timelines, but somebody asked me, can we do one? And I searched it, and there's quite a few options. So you can see some of these are more like an infographic. Some of these are very much like a traditional timeline. I know that Maddie, actually, I'll just show you this. When Maddie was working on the heritage trail for the Wickham Rye, she put kind of a timeline in manually. So this is something that Maddie worked on using Canva. We'll load in just a second. She says, slowly but surely.
It's quite a large file, I think, isn't it?
Yeah. There's a few pages in this in this trail, so it's all going to pop up gradually by the looks of things. Is it going to go?
Yeah.
This is what happens when you have a 10-year-old laptop as well. It does slow down a little bit. Yeah, it's going to go in a second. Bear with me. Okay, so this is the heritage trail that Maddie developed for the Wickham Rye. So you can see this is a good example actually of using kind of elements that we've paid for and also elements that are already on Canva. So, the map we had commissioned, but Maddie has dropped icons in. So the map didn't include this illustration of a boat, for example, but Maddie's added in some flowers, and that looks like part of the map now. But it's just an icon that was on Canva. Also these paint splotches, like the backgrounds, we've dragged those in, we've put this in as a background. And what I really like about this example is there's all these great icons from Canva as well. So like spot this. So, for all these little kids activities, there's an icon that tells you, okay, this is something you need to look for. And I think this is a good example of like all of the elements you can bring together from Canva into one thing. You can see we've got loads of different text boxes here to make it work, image boxes. We've used icons for the numbers. This is an icon as well from Canva, which is a shield for them to color in. Got some text boxes and little kind of boxes with.
It moved.
I know. I was just looking at that.
They kept moving around so much when I was doing it.
Ignore this bit. We're going to go to the next page. You do those unaligned boxes. But again, this is great. These circles are all from Canva. So it's really kind of brought the images to life, all of these elements from Canva have just made it a bit more engaging. And Maddie did a really great job to bring it all together so that it looks, you know, I think, I'm biased, but I think it looks, you know, really, really professional, and as if we've had kind of a graphic designer involved to bring this together and make it work.
It was a good team effort, wasn't it?
It was good.
Yeah, you set it all up.
Yeah,
So,
I copy and pasted everything in, and then Maddie made it look really nice. But yeah, let me show you the timeline example quickly, and then I'll leave a bit of time for other questions. Sorry, my computer is so old. Yeah, so, you know, when you were doing a timeline, you know, it would depend, I guess, on how many points you wanted to add in. Obviously, some of these are less of a timeline, and not really relevant, but, you know, that looks very much timeline. If you wanted it in kind of infographic mode, this one is quite good as well. You could do it less in a linear way, but with icons, which looks quite nice. You know, so there is a bit of flexibility. Obviously, you could build one from scratch as well, just putting lines into a document and dragging boxes on, which is what Maddie and I tried to do as well. But if we take this,
is most of this, do you think, would this be extra with the pro version, or do you think?
No, I mean, these templates are all included in the free version, so there's no template that I've come across which is a pro template.
Okay.
What I've noticed are pro features is just kind of nicer images sometimes. Well, actually not even nicer images. I think it's stuff which is a bit more niche. So, you know, say like Christmas images, there'll be a bunch of generic ones, but if you wanted a specific image which is like Christmas kids and parents, you know, you're asking for more words, you're asking for more elements in the image, it will be there. So when I've gone into this timeline, you know, there is more than one page, so that's something to be aware of when you're making something. The template might kind of have various pages because they expect you to use them. It's obviously really easy to delete if I don't want all of these, you know, and you can also move them around. So if I say, okay, well, I actually want this page up, it's really simple to do that. Also, what I found useful, say I like this design of the first page the most, I can edit it, put it in my brand colors, and then click this easy button to duplicate it, and then just change the text. So, you know, before you look at it and think, oh my gosh, there's, you know, 4 different pages here that I need to design, you can just do one and then just copy it and change it a bit. Here, obviously, it's showing you the different pages of the timeline of the template, which is useful if you need to jump. But again, when you mouse over, you can see that although this is a template, there's loads of things you can choose to change about it. So all of these icons you could customize. If you were doing it about history, for example, you could try to find icons or even insert tiny images related to what you want to talk about. You know, obviously changing the color here is, you know, really easy. I can, you know, quite quickly put this into our brand colors if I wanted to. And, you know, again, easy to change the text. These little boxes have been dragged under, and it's quite useful with Canva because it will tell you when things are aligned. So you can see when I'm moving stuff, it tells me, okay, it's centered to the icon above. If I move it down, maybe I want them all to be, you know, aligned this way along the bottom. You know, I want it actually aligned, you know, with the center of the icon. So that is helpful that you don't need to guess where things are aligned, and it helps you a little bit to make things look a bit more professional. Yeah, so those are just a couple of examples, you know, of things that you can do. I'm happy to take you through more examples if people have specific questions. You know, there is obviously yes, Steph, tell me.
So what I've managed to do, if I control all, and then you can move the whole thing around, but how do you like isolate a couple of images in one text box and move them, but not the whole thing?
So I don't do that very often, to be honest. just moving.
You can just do it with the cursor, I think. You can grab them all like that, and then you can either move with the mouse or with the cursor, because you sort of, like, I'm used to Publisher, and Publisher you actually have to click to group them, but if you group it, then it sticks on the page, which I was finding, but you can just move it, I think, with the cursor or with the mouse.
Okay.
I think if you're trying to select two, it's like control click. If you hold down control and then click,
right,
you'll select one, and then it'll hold on to that, and you can select another one that's not attached to it or something like that.
Yeah,
great.
Yeah, you also saw there when I click in control, it gives you the option to like send to back or send backwards. So, you know, I found that useful when I've done a photo collage, for example, and I want some photos farther forward, you know, because the edge is nicer or they're a more important image, you can kind of send things around to different layers, which can be quite useful as well. Okay, I'm going to open it.
Could I ask a question?
Yeah. I'm just going to let you guys jump in now, so I will stay quiet. And
thanks, Lizzie. Yeah, it looks really great. So for example, when you did your heritage trail, did you then print that straight from here, or did you send it off to a printer?
Well, we haven't had that many printed. Maddie's been delivering it as part of some of her school visits. So I don't know actually how many you've printed, Maddie, but what we did, he's only printed 2.
My printer's broken now as well, actually.
Oh no.
I'm waiting for a new printer.
Not fair.
Yeah, the idea is that it's available online, really for families to either print themselves or for schools too.
Yeah, but I guess
and that's why we considered that, didn't we, with the colours, to kind of keep it a white background on majority of the pages then, to make it a bit easier to print.
Yeah, because I think worst case scenario, that heritage trail could be printed in grayscale and you'd still be able to tell, you know, what it was and what you were supposed to be doing. But I would say, you know, if you're thinking of printing something, get it in like PDF print quality, because that's, you know, just a higher quality and a bigger file for printing, which will just make it look a little bit better. I mean, it does say like you've got the option to you know, order prints, for example. So I think if I scroll down here, can you see? It's going to slow down again now. Yeah, so it does say, you know, they're obviously connected to some printing services. So, you know, I could choose to print t-shirts and stuff. I've never done that because we've used local printers and a lot of it is just really small runs. But if I wanted to make it really easy, I could, you know, print it through them as well, it seems.
Lizzie, can I ask something? Because I'm going to have to go shortly. But if you wanted to like copy and paste something from either another document or from a web page, is the only way of using it is by sort of uploading it, or can you literally? I think I tried doing paste, control and copy and control and V. But I'm not sure whether that works. I don't know whether you know any.
Yeah, I haven't done, I mean, I've copy and pasted text in before, you know, which is fine. I haven't copy and pasted images in, only because it doesn't take that long to upload them. But I guess, you know, if you're doing it from one website and you don't want to have to download it and upload it again. Yeah, I mean, I don't see why it wouldn't work. I honestly haven't done much of it.
Okay.
One thing to consider is if you're copying an image that's already inside a document, every time you copy and paste it, it gets smaller and less clear. So if you can use the original format of an image, it's always going to be the clearest thing.
Okay.
So if you're using something, even like a little nice circle like that, if you copied it into another thing and then copied it from there to somewhere else, the resolution, it will start looking grainier and grainier and grainier if you're not using the original file.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess when there's stuff that's in Word documents, you know, always saving it as an image, I sometimes forget to do that. But yeah, rather than copying and pasting it out, just saving it separately, because Sam's right, it does always get a bit smaller every time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry,
no, that's okay. Any other questions or, you know, specific examples you guys would like to see, or I can also go through, brand colors a little bit if that's useful. So quiet. Does that mean it was a good use of 40 minutes or? Okay, I'll just go through brand kit a little bit then, just because you've got a little bit of extra time. And then if there's any more questions, you can let me know, or obviously I can follow them up with email. So brand kit is something I found a few months into using Canva. It's on the free version as well. So I can upload brand logos, which I have with our logo. I could add more if I wanted to, and then it would be very easy to drag and drop them in. Core brand colors, these are the brand colors of the CCC, and how I added them in is either, I can do it just by, eyeballing it, but most brands will have a hex code, which is what this is, for that color. So I could just add that if I wanted to, which is good. Additional brand colors, I added those just so it's clear that, most of the time we should use these. And again, if you were doing this for a wider team, you might want to do the same. It depends how, strongly you feel about branding. Illustration brand colors, like I said, are from the photos we had from Livy, just because she used some different tones and I asked her for those hex codes. So maybe if you've had illustrations done or something commissioned, you might want to ask the artist what colors they used, because they can sometimes really complement the brand colors you already have. Uploaded fonts, I just stole these from the internet. Calibri, I downloaded them and then uploaded them again to Canva, which is really easy to do. You might have other fonts that you like. And also I can preset what my headings, subheadings, and body are. So I've chosen to preset them as our brand fonts. But again, I could take all of this out if I wanted to remove that formatting. And then when I add a heading, I can just change it really easily. But this just makes it a little bit simpler. If the wider partnership starts using Canva, we all have the same colors to use, the same fonts and images, obviously. Yeah, so that's the brand pack. Again, it didn't take me more than 20 minutes probably to do it. And obviously it can be changed easily in the future. I'll just also show you what the content planner looks like. I haven't added anything to it, but here you would drag and drop things in. So, I can either create a design or choose a design that I've already done if I wanted to remind myself to do something about it on those days. And create a team. Again, I could invite people to join the team if I wanted to. But that is pretty much it. It is simple. I would recommend that, if it's something that's interesting to you, you make a little free account, have a play around. But I found it easier to work with when I know what I'm supposed to be creating. So I wouldn't have much success if I just said, oh, let me make a really, good looking poster for the sake of it. It's much easier to work with when you say, I need a poster for, X, Y, and Z. Which is why I haven't made loads of blank templates. So initially when I got Canva, I thought I'll do, a poster template for everyone to use. I'll do a leaflet template, but it's much easier to work with when you know what the goal is and what you're trying to create. So I would just say, have a play around. Obviously the members of the partnership, you've already been sent access to my account, but I can send it again if you haven't got it and you want to have a play. Maddie's already used it, which is great. She's done the heritage trail, which worked out well. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Happy to answer any questions now or later on. All quiet. I'm going to assume that means nobody has any questions and you'd like to go and get a cup of tea.
I think we'd like to go and get a cup of tea and play around with it ourselves.
Yeah. No, that's fine. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I really love it. I mean, it's not for everyone. And I know some people with more graphic design experience, they obviously use more professional tools. But for me, I'm not a graphic designer and I find the Adobe programs a bit mind-boggling, whereas this is quite easy. It's drag and drop. And I can spend, maybe half an hour and I've got a poster at the end of it, which is not bad. timing wise. So yeah, do go and have a play. Hopefully you all have my email so you can ask any questions later, and I'm happy to follow up if you need any help. But yeah, thanks for joining me, and yeah, let me know if you've got any questions later on.
Thank you, Lizzie.
Thanks, Lizzie.
Thank you very much.